Well, this is take two of the entire video because I just recorded it with no audio. But today at the spring training facility, Steve Cohen was interviewed about the possibility of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. joining the New York Mets due to the fact that he wasn't able to reach an extension with Toronto this past weekend. Plus, it leads into what this means for the payroll and what Cohen's comments about the payroll were and how he's pretty displeased with it. And we're going to get into everything that Cohen was interviewed about when it today at spring training. Welcome on in, everybody, to this new edition of Mets Digest with your host, Michael DeAngelo. As you see on the screen, I am a little under the weather, as you could probably tell. I am sorry. So please excuse my voice, my stuttering, and just me getting caught up. It's been a rough week, but I'm gonna barrel through it for you guys so I can make this video for y'all about what is going on in spring training for the New York Mets because it's been a while, but I am back. Before I get started, guys, we are at 3.9 thousand subscribers. We are almost at 4K. Please hit that subscribe button if you are not watching. Remember, as soon as we hit 4,000, I will be doing my next my next big giveaway on Twitter. So make sure you guys follow here. I'll drop my Twitter, and then you guys can get us to 4K, and then I will do a big giveaway for everyone. I will flash it up on the screen when I am announcing that giveaway. So whatever random video you guys click on, check out. The giveaway will be there. But now let's get started. And yes, so recently Vladimir Guerrero Jr. wasn't able to reach an extension with the Blue Jays this past weekend. And he basically announced on Instagram that he will be playing this last year with the Blue Jays and opting into free agency. So now what we're looking at here with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is that he's making around $28.5 million this year, and that he would probably just go on to free agency after this year. So now this makes him a possible deadline rental target, and Toronto has the chance to really load up on some nice prospects at the trade deadline if they were to trade him. Now, he has then, put out comments that he wishes to remain with the Blue Jays for the rest of his career, but we really don't know if that's possible. We already know he's a Scott Boras client. He is going to go where the money is. And if the Mets are able to offer him a long-term type of contract next offseason, the Mets have been listed as favorites amongst the Red Sox and the Yankees as the two others, according to John Heyman. So it's a possibility. Pete Alonso is only on a 3-year contract. So, if we decide not to hang on to him long term, we know Starling Marte is on the last year of his contract. If you guys want more on what's going on with him and how he will not be traded this offseason, go check out Flobo's video on that. But for the most part, we have a lot of guys that we are committed to still. And if we were to free up a good amount of the roster next offseason, we would be able to possibly afford him. Now, Steve Cohen, what he had to say about when he was asked about it was that I'll let my baseball people make that decision. So he was asked about it. He is, not denying any type of rumors at all. Remember, the Mets were looking to trade for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. when the Pete Alonso sweepstakes were getting very rocky. Remember, it was reported that the sides were starting to grow apart and that Mets were in talks with the Blue Jays about possibly acquiring Vladimir. Didn't end up happening. Vladimir remains with the Blue Jays, and the Mets get Pete Alonso back. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't be interested in him in the future anyway, because, the Mets still have a DH spot open. Vladimir Guerrero is a perfect candidate for a position like that, especially at this point in his career, due to, the questions of him being in shape and not. DH could be a possible long-term position for him, and the Mets possibly would have an open spot for that next offseason, with Starling Marte being that likely candidate, and then obviously leaving because Marte has 1 year left on his contract too. Mets were obviously interested in a couple third basemen due to the fact of Mark Vientos moving over to first. We know Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has experience over there. Now, would he be willing to play it again? We have no idea. But that is all we have on Vladimir right now. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about possibly him joining the next offseason, maybe a trade deadline target if the bats are struggling and we need a little extra power. That could be a very likely candidate for us as a deadline target. Now, Steve Cohen was interviewed on one of the benches earlier this morning, and he was asked about the payroll and what it's looking like right now, and is he satisfied with it? And he says, I've always wanted to be a little more measured in payroll growth, and then we get there and it's never quite there. Now, he's talking about the fact that he sets a budget for the team and that he always ends up going over it somehow. And that free agency is a lot more expensive than you ever planned for that year. Now, we know that I've explained to you guys multiple times, free agency, you're always going to end up overpaying for guys more than you want. It's always going to end up costing you a couple extra more dollars than you first project. It always ends up like that. If you want to win in free agency, you have to overpay for them. So now regarding the Cohen tax, the payroll sits at around $330 million right now after signing Pete Alonso. So they're way over what they want to be right now, mainly because they would, it's projected that they're going to pay close to $75 million in taxes. And that Cohen said he'd like to get below that Cohen tax. Remember before, when the CBA reached that deal a few years ago, they put in this rule that was nicknamed the Cohen tax. When you reach above a certain quota in payroll, I think it's like $295 million or something like that, you get then taxed 110% for repeat offenders of spending more than $60 million above the initial threshold. So right now, that's what the Mets are getting taxed, 110% over however much over they went, which is $75 million. Nobody wants to pay that tax, and they're expensive, like Steve Cohen says. So what you're looking at here on this point, relating it back to Vladimir Guerrero, is you need to somehow free up money for next offseason if you were to want to be able to afford him in the first place. Like I said, if you want more on Starling Marte and what's going on, what the rumors were of why he's ending up staying, go check out Flobo's video. He has more information about that. But it seems like Starling Marte is going to stay on the team as long as at least till the deadline. He is now the likely candidate to be the designated hitter for the Mets this upcoming season. So that's a guy that's still getting paid a lot of money. Obviously, now the commitment that you made to Juan Soto, the next couple year commitment you just made to Pete Alonso, obviously the pitching additions. Kodai Senga is opting out after this year too, possibly. So that's another guy you're going to have to give a pay raise to. There's a lot of commitments the Mets are, holding deep to their hearts right now. So it's very difficult to get a guy like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., especially if you're going to sign on him as just being a primary DH. It's very difficult to balance all of these contracts all at once. Remember, you still got the young guys you're going to have to pay in a couple years, like Mark Vientos and Francisco Alvarez. It's getting very sticky for them. And you're going to have to probably break a couple fans' hearts, whoever, remains closest to the fans' heart the most. Someone might have to get let go at some point. And right now, I think the interest now for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. remains pretty low amongst the Mets' radar due to the fact that they don't really know if they're going to need another bat, if they were going to want to make a World Series run just yet. They don't know what Marte has left in the tank. Obviously, Ronnie Mauricio is just starting to come back now. We just saw videos of him taking live at-bats the other day. Let's go, baby. I told you guys. I told y'all he is going to be back, and he is a generational talent for this team. I cannot wait for the impact that he's going to make and just absolutely stun the baseball world, because he is a generational prospect, and I can't wait for him to show you guys and basically prove me right. But that is all I have for you guys here today on Mets Digest. Make sure you guys subscribe down below and get us to 4K so I can do this giveaway for y'all already. And let me know in the comments what you guys think about all this, the payroll, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. himself possibly being a target for the Mets' upcoming future endeavors. And I will see you guys in the next video. Good night, everybody.